I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. And I'm here. You know who it is, guys. It's Zeus Cruz of Olympian Multimedia, giving you another segment of Get Things Done. In this particular segment, as I twist and twirl over here to this section at this workstation, we're going to be talking about how to kind of set up a template for your musical project utilizing this. And this particular thing is called the Maschine MK3. It's part of the basic hardware that's supplied through Native Instruments. I know you guys heard me talk about it a lot. It's pretty much my go-to when it comes to like music production. It has a plethora of different types of software that you can utilize depending on what you're trying to do, from what type of genre. And then they come with their own hardware. So between this and then using the Complete Control S61 MIDI keyboard, they're pretty much like the standards that you should have if you are going to utilize the Native Instruments software suite. So I just wanted to give you a couple tips regarding the MK3, how to just create this template, create this foundation for you to work off of when you're trying to develop your musical project. So to show you right off rip, the first thing is, and again, this might be a reminder from a previous video that we did, of when you're doing or utilizing Native Instrument, they tend to, the software is broken down into subgroups. Within these subgroups, they have this, which is called Native Access, as you see here, as I expand it. This allows you to access the different types of sound packs that they have on here, whether it's VSTs, actual loops, different types of effects. You won't be able to access these if you don't have Native Access in itself. So this is basically like the home base, as it were, for you to utilize the different things that come with, or the different components that come with Native Instrument. So that's one of the first things if you decide to use Native Instrument is create an account, create a profile. From there, you need to download the Native Access app and then go from there. And then as you can see here, you can just download what you want to download. As you can see, it's just a plethora of different things, depending on if you buy the software outright or you're going through the subscription plan. From there, within Native Access, since we're specifically talking about Maschine, which is basically their version of a mix pad, a drum pad, but you can utilize it for other things as well, you will have to download Maschine as a separate software. Once you do that, it will look something like this. So it's basically in grid form, but it's also in track form. Whatever inputs that you have will show up on the screen, and then you can kind of just work your way down. And then the grid is mapped out into different segments where you can kind of break it down even further, add different effects, add different types of other type of sound textures, like, you know, synths, or even some more smaller loops, and import it and imprint it into each one of your quadrants that are set up within the track timeline. And they'll also be developed up here. And then over here all the way to your left will give you your whole inventory of exactly what you have within that particular sound pack. So if we take it to the hardware, the on button is located right here at the top left. You just click the button. Matter of fact, I could just go ahead and show you how it will look blank, and then once you turn it on, and it's essentially a MIDI controller that already has the software imprinted and in sync into the machine itself. There's also another one called a Maschine Plus, which is a standalone version that pretty much already has the Native Instrument software suite already on their onboard computer that's built into the device itself. You could definitely utilize that. It's portable. You could take it anywhere and go ahead and mix and come up with different beats and different musical projects. This one in per se will have to be actually plugged in, as you can see, into your computer in order for you to utilize it. You'll see on the screen it looks blank. It seems a little bit confusing because there's quite a bit of different buttons. As you notice over here, you got your mix pads. You have your letters from A to H. These will be essentially considered sound banks in which you would input and import different sounds into each bank to allow you to kind of tailor make your production the way you see fit. And obviously there's other things as well that you can utilize, as well as creating different patterns, different variations. You can actually play, stop, and record right on here. So basically all the functionality of the software itself is inputted into the device. So it kind of keeps you away from the hands-free or having to actually be on your computer the whole time to do different things. If you want to access what you have, we're going to click the browser plugin button. And as you can see, instantly you have options at your disposal in which you can go ahead and pick what type of sound pack that you're looking for. Each one will play like a different type of sample for you, so you could kind of see for yourself if this is the type of sound that you want. Obviously, you can plug headphones into it or work it through your studio monitors, whatever you decide fit for your studio session. If you wanted to change, as you can see here, we have loops. If you wanted to change it, you simply turn this tuner right here. And then you can just switch between each one. Now remember, this is only going to show up what you downloaded off of onto Native Access. If you're looking for a particular sound pool or a sound pack or some type of effect, and it's not listed on your machine itself, that means you didn't download it onto Native Access. So always remember that whatever's imported or downloaded on Native Access, it will only import what's on there onto your machine. So keep that in mind. But as you see, I'm turning to the different loops. If you want to change the style or the texture of the sound, just click this button and it allows you to do one shots. You go to this top button here, change it to loops, change it to different effects. And it's the same logic. You're just going to turn till you get the one that you want. Very simple, right? We're going to change it once again. And now we got instruments. Same thing. You're just going to keep turning and pick the one that you want, right? Change it again to effects, back to loops, so forth and so on. Once you pick the type of sound pack that you want to use, and you get to it, in this case we're going to use Platinum Bounce. You're going to turn this tuner right here, which is your main knob. And as you can hear, it gives you a quick sample of what exactly that is. This one we're using Platinum Bounce, so this is great for using for drums. For most producers, they probably lay down drums or some type of bass line first and then work off of there as far as adding the melody, adding the different textures. If you're going to add a layer of a synth, if you're going to add effects, maybe you're going to basically do a mix or a remix, as it were, within the beat and transition into a whole different sound. The possibilities are endless as a producer as far as like how you want to go about with your music production. Here we're just going to start with the drums. I kind of like the first one. It's kind of got a good feel to it, right? So once you pick the one that you want, want to go ahead and just click it in. You're going to click the main knob that we use to go into the pack and check out different things. You just click it in. Now, that particular one that you pick is imported and it's ready to go, ready to be utilized within your machine. As you notice on the screen, you have your bandwidth already created, your wavelength created to let you know on your scene, and right here on the timeline itself within the grid to know this is the particular drums that you picked, which is Slow Stroll number 1 is what we picked. If you notice down here too, you got to light it up. It's A. This is letting you essentially know that you're working within the A pad or the A bank. So you're going to import something within there. If you notice these options right here above the pad itself, you're going to have pad mode, keyboard, chords, and steps. So there's 4 different ways in which you can utilize the sound that you have in sync within your machine. So pad mode would allow you the more flexibility. If you're the type of person that feels comfortable just going ahead and using the pads to basically formulate your melody or your beat manually, or you can use a keyboard where it would essentially simulate what a MIDI keyboard would do. If you wanted to just strictly be on the chords, if you're looking for more precise chord arrangements, this would allow you to do this as well, which is neat. And then for the last option of step, that allows you to create essentially a sequence. So basically, this is an all-in-one mix pad. It can be used as a MIDI keyboard, but it also could be used as a sequencer as well. So that's what makes Maschine MK3 pretty much starting to be like the go-to to a lot of people right now. So guys, as you can see, I had already pressed it in for us to be within the sound pool. But as you know, just to re-illustrate, we got it in pad mode. It's lit up. Now it's synced for you to manually input whatever sounds that you want within these pads. Once you press it again, making sure that you're working off of bank A or whatever letter that which bank that you want to use. You can mix and match as you want. Your choice is yours. The possibilities are endless. If you notice what you have set up on the pads itself, it's coming up on the screens here and as well on the screen, on the computer screen within the software. As you notice, it's inputting it onto the grid, on the timeline, on the grid, and as you're seeing as well, that you're going to be playing out. If you wanted to add some quick different textures or quick different configurations, you have these buttons at top that you can utilize where you can decrease or increase your octaves, decrease or increase your semitones. All right. So we're in pad mode. As I already mentioned before, I'm not the biggest fan because I'm very aware of my limitations. I'm not the greatest when it comes to trying to import these different sounds into or making them fluent through means of the pad. But if you notice within this set, you know, we have the one pad that's already set up for a ARP synth. And then we have this pad with the Empire Breaks sound pool or sound pack, specifically their breaks in full kit. If we go back to it, the great thing about it is that they give you the BPMs for each kit, each drums that they have on there. They provide that information for you. A great thing to know as a producer, so you know the tempo in which it's coming in, so that you can make the proper configurations off of there, or if you had to increase or decrease, which way you're going to do with your sound production. There you go. So we go back to pad mode, and if you notice, we just play. And as you can see, these are velocity sensitive pads. So depending on how you touch the pads, it brings the level, the intensity of the sound to what level that you wanted it. So obviously the harder you press down on the pad, the more velocity, the more intense the sound is. Obviously, if you're just kind of like just tapping it, then you're not going to get like the full measure of it, which allows you to input some textures very quickly on the fly, right? And then, well, we'll get to the other thing in a second. But as you know, I'm a big fan of sequencers, so it will make more sense for me to go ahead and use the step option, which is the sequencer. You notice it's set up again on the screen, on your dual screens on the device itself and on the computer. So we're in step. So in this regards, it's very simple. It's exactly what the word says, sequence. So depending on what pads that you press, that's how it's going to be inputted and played through the machine by way of how you press the pads or how you inputted the pads. So I'm just going to do, for the sake of argument, something simple where I'm just kind of going to do some stuff here, guys. Nothing crazy, right? So as you can see on the screen, it lays it out for you within the quadrants, gives you some basic information as far as the layout in which you did the sequence. It breaks it down to you what the pattern is. And then you could just go ahead and press play. And then the neat thing about it is when you're playing these, you can actually take away. Which is just a great effect. And then you can apply it right back again. So it seems a little bit offbeat, but again, I'm just providing an example for you guys real quick of how you can set up very quickly a drum pattern by way of just using the sequencer. And all the information is accessible to you right then and there. And then obviously you can play back and forth and switch it. You don't have to be standard or stick to whatever you originally inputted. Obviously you can mix and match, take things out, add things on, so forth and so on. So from there, when you're trying to comprise your beat and move on from that, then you want to go ahead and press on to your next bank. So now we're in bank B, and now you probably want to add some type of, I don't know, some type of a melody of some sort. So you go to your browser and you're doing the same thing again. So easy where you can just switch through. And now we're going to find something that we can utilize. It's so many different things to use. It's like, it kind of gets a little like overwhelming. So why don't we just go with this? This is their Sound Pack Melted Vibes. We're going to go with 2020 hits. Once you're ready to do or utilize it, you just go ahead and press it. You notice that it's loading. Now it's ready to go. You're in pad mode once again. So easily, again, if you wanted to be in that regard, using the pad mode and go ahead and input it manually, you can do that. But when it comes to melodies, a lot of people like to turn to the keyboard. So if you notice, we have that option right here next to the pad mode. We're going ahead and click that. Now, again, it's set in pad mode. But again, each one of these is imported with a different type of sound that is that coincides with this particular sound pack that you pick. And then it lets you know right here what your root note is. And then remembering that you're on bank B, that you know in bank A that you lay down some drums that's already still in sequence on there. right? So from here you got so we got the feel of that. As you know, each pad is already doing the leg work for you. You don't have to manually set each pad with and input a different sound. It already does it based off the pack that you already picked. How much easier can it be, guys? Now you can get straight to work and then just start composing your chord arrangements. Again, you could press chords to get in more specifics. But if you just want to play some simple melody that you can use as a loop, this is the mode that you want to be in. And then you go ahead and press play. And there's your drum pattern. And then you can play accordingly. And again, I know, guys, I'm a little off key. But again, I'm just trying to prove a point on how easy it is for you to press a melody as your bass line or your drum pattern is being played. And then again, you could just go back and forth. As you're playing the keys, you could go back here and then change up the way you sequence. Notice how I went here. It turns the keyboard, bank A, it's on the sequencer. And then, if you're going here with the keyboard and you pretty much laid out what type of loop you want to do, if you notice down here, you have a shift button. Once you press shift, and then you press this button, which says restart, and underneath it says loop. Once you press them two buttons concurrently, it allows you to loop what you essentially played on the keyboard, and then it'll go ahead and sync it to your pad or whatever drum pattern that you set out. And then you could concentrate just on this bank and just mix and match and take out or add in what you want within the drum pattern. It's really that simple. It's not that hard. And then from there, you could just move on. Now you're in your C group. You can input something else, another effect, another type of loop, whatever you want. You just move down within the banks and within these modes, allowing you to go ahead, depending on how you want to input, it gives you that the different options and possibilities. And then from there, you have these buttons right here, if you notice. You have pitch, mod, which stands for moderation. And then skipping over this one, we go to notes. So if you go to notes, so the neat thing about that is that if you don't want to be so stringent on this, you can actually use the strip, the sound strip that they have on there, and then you can create your quick mix if that's what you're looking for. So whatever you input in on your banks, they go ahead and kind of simplify it for you within this sound strip, and that accordingly allows you to make some type of quick loop that you're going to use for another production that you might have. So again, the possibilities are endless just by using that, by making sure you have it in the notes. Label notes. You press notes, you put it in that mode, it allows you to do that. But you can also put it on pitch, where it allows you to go up and down and change the pitch to what you're playing. or you could put it on moderation, which changes the overall depth in which the sound that you're playing. And you can do this in real time. I don't have the drum patterns playing right now, but you can actually do all these different things in real time as you're playing. So how neat is that, of just utilizing something like this where everything's intuitive, low overhead. You can build your whole beats within these banks one at a time. You don't have to be so overwhelmed as a producer where you have to like throw all these different elements in and components in at one time. You really could just break it down very simply through these banks. And then one last thing, you have this button right here, which allows you to control the tempo. And there you have it. The basic layout for you guys. It's really that simple. Obviously, there's other things that we're going to talk about in another video of different other things as well that you can utilize on there. Adding variations, being more in depth with your patterns when you're utilizing the sequencer mode or the step mode on the machine. We'll get to that in another video. But essentially, I just wanted to provide with y'all just a simple template. I mean, it can't get any simpler than that. It seems overwhelming, but obviously the more you will use it, the easier. And then again, you have the option of just being so hands-on on the device or utilizing it with the computer, with the program itself. Just remember, if you're going to do Native Instruments, is that you have to create a profile, create an account. From there, you have to download Native Access in order to download all these different packs that I showed you on here. But hopefully you checking out this video, hopefully it was helpful for you. If you're desiring to use Native Instruments, specifically Maschine, it to me is a no-brainer. I definitely recommend it for you guys. Even for beginners who are just trying to get into music production, I think this is a very simple way for you to just get an understanding of the structure and how to map out your musical project. So that's about it I got for you guys. I hope you loved it. I thought it was informative. I hope you get some tips out of it that can help you out. I mean, yada, 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 yada. You know what I mean? You know who it is. It's Zeus Cruz of Olympian Multimedia. And I guess the only thing left to say is get things done. Now scram, get up out of here. Come on, come on.